Hello everyone, Pierce Nation here. Welcome back to a new deck profile. This is my Meta branded Despia deck. This is the finished version of branded Despia. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get into the monsters. I will quickly go over every single card so I can get the combos mixed in this video as I've went over branded Despia many times. So first of all, you run 3 copies of Aluber. And this is getting nasty. Okay, so Aluber is your main source of the deck, adding your branded spells, traps. So run him at 3. You can run this at 2 or 3. I'm running at 2 right now. Just 2 tragedies fine because you get the Allure of Darkness and you're able to use the effect to actually grab Aluber, Dramature, or Adlib. 1 Dramature Despia. Fusioned off, you just get it back for a free body that negates if it's used from the hand or field, and then the 1 Adlib of Despia. So why he's good is if you have Dramature in the graveyard and you can no longer get it back, you fuse this off, and then his ability lets you get Dramature or a level 8 or higher fusion monster from your graveyard. So that's great. And then that's up for the Despia monsters. Next, Fallen Albaz is 2 copies. These are the ultra rares. It took me forever to get these because the sellers were not very good. But yeah, 2 copies of Fallen Albaz. You can use the on-field normal summon, special summon ability. You're better off just to fuse this from the deck. It's no good when it's on the field. I'm not gonna lie. Unless if you're trying to like use this effect, then change Super Poly. It's gonna be terrible. 1 I'll be on the Shadow Dragon. You don't want any more than this, and it's actually coming out of the sleeve. Hang on. I'm probably gonna have to double sleeve these things because this deck's too expensive for me to actually have it 1 sleeved. So I'll be on the Shadow Dragon. He's Fallen Albaz on the field or graveyard, and basically he's got an in hand and in the graveyard effect. So if you happen to fuse this off, get it to resolve, send whatever you need back, then you can use this for draw power, which is kind of stupid, but it works. So I do like Albion for that. Run 1 Spriggan's Kit. You don't need 2. You're only going to see this once anyway. Basically, if you have a fusion monster, mentions Fallen Albaz, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if you normal or special summon this card, you can add a branded spell or trap, then put 1 card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. Pretty easy. Yeah, that's basically it. Doesn't really do anything else. Trapper Game Courier. It's another Allure of Darkness target. Plus, it is a monster negate, so if you do have this in your hand, while you control a fusion monster that mentions Fallen Albaz, you can just free negate from hand. So, Trapper Game Courier is good for that. Plus, it will add Kit if you banish it, or Albion, or one of those. So that's it for the actual branded monsters. Now I've got 2 Edge Up Chain. Don't run 3. The reason is 3 is kind of a brick, so just run it 2. You'll see why we run it 2. You run every single variation of the card in 2. So you run 2 Edge Imp. Basically, when this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a Edge Imp or Frightful Patchwork. So yeah, good for that. And they recycle, and yeah, they do a bunch of stupid shit. Run 1 Fairytale Snow. If you don't run Fairytale Snow, you're doing this deck wrong because it specifically is made for this card. You fuse 1 Lubellion, great. You fuse 2 Albion using Fairytale Snow. Then you can use Fairytale Snow once it's in graveyard, banishing 7 cards, and basically by that time you flip one of their biggest boss monsters face fucking down, and it's done. Yeah, this card is ridiculous when it comes to that. So I got Fairytale Snow for that. And then for the last monsters around the deck, it's actually just 2 Ghost Bell. That's it. This deck, it doesn't have to run a shit ton of hand traps, and I think hand traps are actually going out of the meta, and I'll make another video on that today. But specifically, hand traps are not as powerful in the meta, but the hand traps that are good in the meta would be like Infinite Impermanence, Ash, Ghost Spell. I'm not. Veiler's okay. Ghost Mourner's better than Veiler, in my personal opinion, because people are special summoning and then the effects are going off. So I think Ghost Mourner is better, in my personal opinion. And then another one would be like Evenly Matched. Evenly Matched is a pretty okay card in this format. It's not great, but it's okay. So yeah, Ghost Spell is the only monster hand trap we use in this deck because you don't have to use that many. Like I said, this deck combos off pretty damn well. As long as no card gets hit during the ban list, we should be okay. For spells, you're going to run 3 branded opening. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give a quick shout out to the people who got me these. They were 3 separate sellers. I probably said it in another video, but I'm going to go ahead and say it again. And I'm going to try to work and see if I can get BearHouse Collections TCG store as the link on this video, because he helped me get one of my branded openings and told me exactly when it shipped, and it was very, very nice and very, very courteous to me. So I will advertise his stuff because he helped me get these cards. I'm not even gonna lie. Even though he only sent me one of them, the other 2 were very cooperative as well. I'll have to try and put their stores up on my channel if I can. I don't remember them right off the top of my head, and I don't have it pulled up to actually tell you exactly who they are. BearHouse Collections was the one who actually I didn't have to reach out to. He reached out to me, said, "Hey, you know, your cards are gonna be late. It's 4th of July, weekend. I can't really ship them out right now." I was like, "You know what? That's fine." So he was nice enough to let me know about these cards, and the other sellers were nice enough to let me know about them too. I just had to reach out for them. But branded opening, why this card is so good is if you send either Edge Imp or Tragedy, you're gonna get the effects off, and this whole deck's gonna combo. It gets stupid. So 3 branded opening. Now that I've explained that a little bit. Next and foremost, obviously, you're going to run 3 branded fusion. Like, this is the smartest thing you could possibly do if you're a branded player. So run 3 branded fusion. You can fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck. Mention Fallen Albaz, you can only use 2 materials for it, yada yada yada. Okay, you get it. Branded fusion goes from hand, field, and deck. So, yeah. It's kind of broken, but I like it. It's like a Red Eyes fusion, except there's no restriction on that, so. Yeah. 2 branded in red. You have to have branded in red. It is one of the most important cards in this fucking deck. If you do not use branded in red, there's something wrong with you. Because branded in red is so damn good that it's not funny. So basically, what branded in red does is you target 1 Despia monster fallen Albaz in your graveyard. Then you can fusion summon 1 level 8 or higher fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing materials on it listed from your hand and field, but it cannot attack directly this turn. So yeah, it's branded in red. If it had it where you can attack directly this turn, that would be broken as hell. For the one-offs, it got 1 branded loss. Branded loss, it only protects the activation of your fusion spells. So like if you get hit by like Ghost Spell, not Ghost Spell, freaking Ash, where it hits the effect, not the activation, it'll actually bypass this card. So yeah, keep that in mind when you play branded loss. But if you do fusion properly, you will be able to add a card that mentions Fallen Albaz or Fallen of Albaz himself. You never had Fallen of Albaz. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you that now. 1 Despia Theater of the Branded. Okay, this is a card that if you get it, you're gonna combo off like a son of a bitch. I'm not even gonna lie. That's something on my freaking mat. Ew. I noticed it on the screen. But basically what happens here is, so branded, it's a Despia Theater of the Branded. I need something to drink because I'm starting to get a little dry. Like I told you, I literally could not talk just there. It doesn't help, I just got up. But so Despia Theater of the Branded, why this card is in here at 1? Again, it is very good if you have your fairies on, your non-fusion fairies, like Allowbird, Dramature, that line. I think those are going to be your only ones. Maybe you get a little bit of them on and shove it in defense mode, but You're not going to use anything else for this, because specifically, tragedy sucks on field, and we don't use any of the other ones. I don't use comedy for good reasons. If y'all are wondering why I don't use comedy for the Despia deck, comedy is fucking garbage. I'm not going to use pieces of garbage. I'm sorry. But with the Despia Theater of the Brain, the reason I use this and you run it one is, number one, it is searchable through a Luber, so you can get a Luber to get this card, which is not that fucking hard to do. Second of all, it is a field spell. Third of all, is its effect. During your main phase, you can fusion summon one level 8 or higher fusion monster from your extra deck. Use monsters from hand or field as material. So that is broken enough in itself. If a face-up non-fusion fairy monster you control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect or is destroyed by battle, you can target one level 8 or higher fusion monster in your graveyard and special summon it for free. So yeah, that's why I'm using that card, because it's kind of stupid. Next, let's see, because we're done with the branded spells. So we got a shit ton of spells, but like I told you, you gotta run in Lord of Darkness. Have to. That is a must. If you do not run Lord of Darkness, you are missing out. Draw 2 cards and banish 1 dark monster from your hand. You draw 2, banish tragedy, and it's +3. You just did a 3-for-1 there. So yeah, probably didn't even notice it, but yeah, you go 3-for-1 on that. You can say, well, you banish tragedy. Yeah, you get the effect off too. So I call it a 3-for-1. It could be a 3-for-2, but it's basically a fucking 3-for-1 because you're getting what you need. Because when you normal summon Aliber, you got a body on the board, plus you're adding either branded fusion or branded red, or if you're in a situation where you can really pop off, you go branded lost. So Lord of Darkness is great in this deck, especially if you banish Tri-Brigade Mercurier as well. For this deck, since I don't have Droplet, I do run 3 Forbidden, or 3 Dark Ruler No More. I just said I didn't have Droplet. Yeah, I run 3 Dark Ruler No More. Dark Ruler No More is great for breaking boards. Plus, with Branded Despia, you're gonna be able to flood the field pretty fucking easy anyway. So yeah, use Dark Ruler No More, and it will help key to your success. So keep that in mind when you're playing this deck. Also, you only gonna run 2 copies of Super Poly in this variation of the deck because it doesn't have to rely on Super Poly as much, but it is a very, very good card to have. So you have Super Poly there for that. There are targets in this deck, you'll see them. There are different ways to use Super Poly and climb up the chain. It all depends on what plays that you have during the game. Like I said, you have to be able to read the game state to know the game state, so just keep that in mind. Run 2 Frightful Patchwork. Frightful Patchwork is the #1 card in this deck because it is a 1-for-2. Basically, when you send Edge Imp, it'll add Patchwork. You use Patchwork, it'll add Edge Imp and Polymerization straight to your hand. So again, it is a 2-for-1. So if you notice, all these cards are building up card advantage. When we do test it here in a minute, which I'm going to do, I plan to do it. They will, you'll notice I have a hand of like 10 to 12 cards. Yeah, that's how this deck works. It's kind of stupid. You run 2 Polymerization. Yes, I do have the originals. I just got them. They look so nice, and I like them in this deck. So I got 2 copy of Polymerization to go off my Frightful Patchwork. Obviously, we all know what Polymerization does, so I'm not even going to explain that. If you don't know, go watch the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh! You'll figure it out. 1 Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is just easy. So if I have this in hand and they decide they're going to try to Ash, it's Called by the Grave. It'll be alright. Branded Banishment. That right there. Now let me explain this one. This one I have not got to look at or explain. So you target 1 Despia monster or level 8 higher fusion monster in your graveyard, special summon it, then you can apply the effect. Fusion summon 1 level 8 or higher fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from either field. You only activate 1 Branded Banishment per turn. This is basically a card that if you get into Mirror J, which you will every turn, first turn, and you banish Albion, you want to set Branded Banishment, because this card is going to kill your opponent immediately. Because once this card goes off, and they don't have like a Solemn Judgment or something to stop traps, that's it. That's all she wrote, because it's going to lock them completely out of the game. They'll probably be in mid-combo when you pop this off too, and it's going to kill it. So, Branded Banishment is good there. Run 1 Branded Sword. Now, the reason you use Branded Sword is not for the tokens. However, it is for the secondary effect of this card. So, if you use Branded Opening, you discard this card to the graveyard. You can then banish this card from your graveyard. Target one of your banished monsters that has fallen out of Albaz or mentions it. Add it to your hand. So if you have a Lower Darkness, you can add Mercurial right back to your hand and then do it again. So, Branded Sword is great in that deck for that. And then the last 2 cards around in this deck, however, are 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Like I said, don't have a lot of hand traps in this deck, but I think you're seeing the draw power and how this deck really corresponds to each other, and see why that other decks that people make that are non-meta, that are rogue, like that Dark Magician Fanboy, I think you're starting to see why that this deck does completely destroy every deck in the meta, and this deck always makes top 64, because it is very, very powerful, and it doesn't have to use that many hand traps to actually work. If I could, I would probably run 1 of every hand trap and then get me some crossouts for this. I think that would be optimal. But, yeah. So, that is all for the main deck of Printed Despia. And I'm going to go through it real quick and count how many cards I got. So, give me a minute. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 43 cards. 43 cards in the main. So that's what you're dealing with, which is very consistent. So you do get pretty good consistency off of that, so keep that in mind. For the extra deck, we're going to start off with Starving Venom. So definitely use Starving Venom. Very good. Obviously, it's super poly target 2 dark monsters. Pretty easy. And then if, there are plays in the deck where you don't have to use super poly and you can make this pretty easily. So keep that in mind. Plus, if your opponent has a Mirror Jade, you can go and Starving Venom and copy the effect. Second of all, I got Predaplant Draxtapelia. Again, this is a very good target to make. If you have just a Lebellion out there or an Albion and they pull out a dark monster, or you have a dark monster on, you can make this pretty damn easy. It's not that hard. So Draxtapelia for that. Plus it puts a Predaplant counter on a free negate. So very good there. And the last Predaplant card we use is Starving Venom, Predapower, Fusion Dragon. And this is a dark fusion monster and a fusion monster. So yeah. If I face a fusion deck, more than likely I will try to make this over Draxtapelia, but nonetheless, these are 3 really good cards, and I do like them. They're all good. They all have their purpose. You can normally climb with them. Next of all, I'm running white 1 Titanic Lad. Let me move these that way. So Titanic Lad is very good because again, you can just use Fallen Albaz and Albion and get into it, and then it gains like I think 3,700 attack. I think what it'll be at by the time it gains its 1,200 attack. So next, run 1 copy of Albion the Branded Dragon. Now the reason for 1 is we had to make room for the Predaplant engine, which is very powerful in itself. So I'm not really losing anything here. Plus, you don't have to make Albion. If I had the choice, I would probably either cut this or one of the Predaplants. So I decided for the deck profile to actually cut the Albion, because you don't use Albion a whole lot, but there are times where you're going to have to use it. So I got Albion. there for that. Like I said, you don't use it a whole lot, and I don't think it's really going to affect the deck any. I run 2 Lubellion. You're going to notice my build's a little bit different than everybody else's, but still it is branded, and it is very, very strong. So keep that in mind. So we run 2 Lubellion. The reason for that is you've got 2 targets. So if you fuse one off, with Lubellion, it's shuffling itself back in for the Mirror Jade. You're going to have another one regardless, so it's kind of really good for that. If I find a reason to run 2 Albion, 1 Lubellion, I probably will, but for now I'm running the opposite. So yeah, Lubellion's very good for that. It's also good for discard effects. So here's Lubellion for that. Next of all is, however, my Albalantis, the Abyss Dragon. Now the reason I use Albalantis over the other ones is if I have a field full of dragons, which happens sometimes, not all the time. That's why this card is in there. If it does happen and I'm trying to go for an FTK and I notice they're putting a bunch of like Drytron bodies on board to where I'm going to have to hit multiple battle phases to actually break through the board, and I don't have enough to do it, or I've got effects keeping me from doing that, I will go into Albalantis, because he can attack as many times as materials used for his summon. He can be special summoned or fusion summoned, so he can be contact summoned, which is very, very nice. And Albalantis in the deck in the future is going to be very powerful because they're getting a shit ton of dragon monsters that are very, very accessible through their opponent's graveyards. So with that being said, Albalantis is going to get very, very good. If you are thinking about buying this card, because he's like $8 a copy right now, I bought him when he was 15. I would go ahead and buy this dude because he's going to be fucking broken in the future in this deck. So definitely get this guy. Very good. Plus, if he's sent to the graveyard, let's see, what's his graveyard effect? This card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn. You can add 1 polymerization normal spell or fusion normal spell from deck to your hand. So you can basically just add any normal fusion spell. Next, what I have on here is I only use 1 of these. I see people using 2, but I never run into 2 when I'm playing anybody. Guardian Chimera. So Guardian Chimera, draw power again. When you fuse this using 1 material from field and 2 in hand, you pop 1, draw 2. And this thing is just ridiculous. Because if you got polymerization in your graveyard, it can't be targeted by card effects. So, yeah. Guardian Chimera could be a real pain in the ass. Next is the Thespian Queridus. So Queridus, why it's so good is, again, is a Despia and a light monster. Or dark. It's not that hard to make this. Plus, it can make all monsters except for level 8 or higher fusion monsters attack becomes 0 until the end of the turn, which is very, very good. And if your opponent cannot stop this effect, it's going to be a rough day for you. So, yeah. And plus, if it is destroy due to an opponent's card effect, you can special summon 1 Fallen Albaz or Despia monster from your deck, which is probably going to happen because they cannot get through that thing. They'll have to pop it first, which is why it has that effect. And then we run the 1 Despian Proskenian. Of course, this is a great card for stealing your opponent's cards. You can target 1 Synchro Fusion, Xyz, or Link monster in your opponent's graveyard. Either banish it or special summon it to your field. So, yeah. Very good for that. Now this one is kind of hard to make. I normally brand it in red, this thing, because it's a Despia, a light, a dark. There are no other ways to shortcut that. Like, you have to have all 3. So if I get snow sometimes, I'll make this. But if I do it with snow, I'll normally do it with polymerization in hand. Not exactly branded in red because I don't want to banish my snow. So Thespian Queridus or Thespian Proskenian is good for that. Of course, we're running branded. You should be running 2 Masquerade Dragons. 2 Masquerade Dragons are clutch. because again they have the same summoning requirements as Queridus, to where it's literally a Despia, a light or a dark. And when you got two of these bad boys on the field and your opponent takes their turn, it's going to be a long day for your opponent because they're going to be burned 1200 for every effect they do. Plus, you probably got Mirror Jade to kind of interrupt the play and kind of, mess up the entire play. So, two Masquerades are very good. And then for the last two cards we have in the extra deck, of course, is the Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. This is one of the best fusion cards ever printed. The only thing I don't like about this card is its first effect, where it can banish a card, but it cannot activate it twice in a row. So you gotta banish, wait a turn, banish, wait a turn. I don't like that effect. But besides that, this is a very good card. Plus, Albion just being able to be sent to the graveyard is a good extender for the Mirror Jade combos. Excuse me. So, yeah, he's very good for that. Plus, if he leaves the field in any way, shape, or form by your opponent, he can destroy every card. He's basically a Regeki. So, it's ridiculous how that works. So, with that being said, that is the entire deck. I'll just go ahead and lay out the extra deck that I used. It's the same extra deck I use for all of my events. So, I do run 3 Cosmic Cyclone, which is pretty standard. 1 Cyclone, 3 Summon Limit. If I ain't throwing cards everywhere, because these card sleeves are slick, as these are the blue ones. So, keep that in mind. Run 3 Mask of Restrict to stop Flan. Summon Limit will also stop Flan as well. 3 Pure Iron Wall. This is for Eldritch and Flanders. And also Grand Madri decks, because we do have one of those down there. And then the 3 Royal Decree is for Eldritch specifically. So that is the side deck I have for this. So if you're wondering, like, what was my side? Yeah, that's my side. That is literally the side deck I use for this. I would like to change it to probably like some Lightning Storms when the price goes down on them. I think they're $44 copy right now. It isn't bad, but it's not great. So with that being said, I'm gonna try to get this set up so that we can I can show you some combos and I can talk and explain things as we go here. So I'll be right back, guys. Alright, so we are back. Let's go ahead and get on with this. I want to do these very, very quickly. Give you 3 good tests on, I'd say, 3 turn margins. I want to move this mic because I'm going to be drawing a lot. I just have this feeling. Not yet, no. Okay. So, how I always would start off with this is first I want to activate Brand Fusion. It's going to be very hard for y'all to see, so I want to start putting cards off to the right here. So, Brand Fusion. And you will send Tragedy. And you're going to send... let me see if I get this down. You would not be able to see if I banished the card right now. Alright, there. I might pop in the camera view, but that's fine. As we all know, I do drink pop. So use... actually, don't. Don't do it that way. That's kind of stupid because that's in my hand. Use Albaz in the deck. There we go. And you'll summon Lubellion off of that. So, let me get to Lubellion here. Okay, so now we have Lubellion on the field. Lubellion effect will activate Chain 1, and Despia Tragedy will be Chain 2. So, with Lubellion, I got discard for cost. I'm just going to send a Super Poly. It's because I drew both of them. And then Chain 2 will activate Tragedy to add a Luber. So let's add a Luber, and then Lubellion effect will activate. We will shuffle it. And Fallen Albaz back in the deck. Good, following me so far. Good, great. Glad that we can make it this far. I'm not even going to give it a good shuffle because I'm going to be back in it here in a second anyway. So, Mirror Jade. So, now we're in the Mirror Jade. Great. So, specifically what is going to happen here is go ahead and normal summon a Luber. Effective Luber. I don't have any discard cards though. No. Okay. So this is pretty fucking easy at this point. So what you go and grab here is you're going to go and grab Branded in Red. That's the card you want. So you can get this to work multiple ways. But the more specific way I want to get this to work, because I don't have many options at this point, is I want to go ahead and just activate Branded in Red, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my little tragedy here, because you have to grab it from the graveyard in order to get it to work. And then you can fusion summon. The three I'm going to be fusion summon is Despia, him, and Tragedy. Those are banished, by the way. Move this. Like I said, I got everything in the way. So like my banished pile looks fucking ridiculous right now. Can I slide this down, please? Boop. Thank you. Let's say, because I like everything to be in specific orders, even if I can't do it. So, with that, you'll plus summon Guardian Chimera. So that's 3 monsters, 3 different names. 1 on field, 1 in hand. Pop 1, draw 2. If you can't pop, you cannot draw. That is the actual procedure for this card. If you cannot do that, it will not work. I promise you. So then I'll go ahead and activate Polymerization on Tragedy and Albion to get into my first Masquerade Dragon. Now, if you've noticed, I've gotten into quite a bit of a combo here, and I'm just getting started. So now that I have Polymerization in the graveyard, he cannot be targeted by card effects. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use Albion's little ability I just talked about. So with Albion, I can put it on the bottom of the deck and send 1 branded spell, trap, or fallen albas to graveyard to get this to work. So for this, I'm actually going to send Branded Opening. Now this is the thing. It's immense draw power when you need it for real. Because I'm actually in a pretty good situation. Like I've got Masquerade, I've got Mirror Jade, and I've got Chimera. I'm not really in a situation to where I have to worry about anything. And draw 1 card. I'm not doing too bad. I just have to figure out like what I'm doing right now. Not much of anything, unfortunately. I do have Dramature in hand. I did just draw it, so you're gonna in turn. Let your opponent do something and then activate Mirror Jade. Again, this all depends on the situation. I'm not just shotgunning this. Declare effect on the end phase. In phase, go ahead and set just so I've got it. That's not the one I want. Branded Fusion, just so I've got it there. As you can see, the board state is probably not going to be like this, but this is just an idea to give you an idea of how to use it and all the different cards and how to do it all correctly. Draw for turn. Sweet. Activate Frightful Patchwork to add Edge Up Chain and Polymerization. Give me a 2-for-1 here. Thank you. Then I can activate Polymerization straight from hand on Dramature and Edge Up to get into a Masquerade. Now here's where things get a little spicy. So I'm going to put you right there because I got 2 effects going off. Chain 1, I got Edge Amp activating, and chain 2, I've got Dramature special summoning. And then Edge Amp will add Frightful Patchwork. You are, to know how this works, you have to remember every effect One it goes to the graveyard. I mean, this deck is just ridiculous. Then you can activate the branded fusion you set the turn before. And we're going to send... Who am I going to send for this? Let's send Albaz and Albion. Like I said, this is a pretty dead hand, but I'm still able to get a lot out of it for Titanic Lad, which will have like 3,700, so good there. And then I can use the effect of Albion again, send Branded Sword, put itself back on the bottom of the deck, and draw another card. As you can see, in 2 turns, we have amassed 5 fusion monsters, and a Dramature, which has 3,000 attack, which doesn't really matter what the fuck he does at this point. So let's go ahead and draw a card. That's nice. I got Branded Opening again. It's pretty easy. I don't really have to do much here, because we do have Despia Tragedy in the graveyard, so you can banish Tragedy, and we can add Branded in red to our field. Then you can banish. Let's see, what do I have in here? I have Fallen Albaz in here. If I do, I can one up again. Yeah, I got Fallen Albaz in there. So banish Sword. Then you can add Fallen of Albaz back to your hand. So now, as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and stop this one here. As you can see, this is my hand right now. I got Branded in red, Fallen Albaz, Branded Opening, Frightful Patchwork, and Super Poly, all in one hand. No deck competes with this. The only deck that does is one that's mainly Mystic Mine and a lot of Lightning Storms. Like, that's it. Like, you're not really going to compete with this. If they ban Mystic Mine, this deck will be the top deck again, because it is fucking ridiculous. So with that, let's get on to game 2. So all I gotta do is find my one Albion out of this. Thank you, come again. I do like Branded. It is a good archetype. I wasn't for it when it first came out, I'm not gonna lie. I actually was against it. I was trying to find ways to beat it. I do know ways to beat it. Like, I understand how to beat it now. I understand where the choking points are, which is good for my point of view. Now, like, you notice everything goes in a specific order in my decks. They really do, because it bothers me. But basically, I know the choking points in this deck. I know this deck likes to go first and second. This doesn't really determine like how good it does, rather if you do either or. But the deck really likes to go second a lot, because it will FTK like a shit ton. And if it doesn't FTK, it'll get you on the next turn, because it's going to, whatever materials you throw out there, it is going to use them. And the Gigantic Splight actually does not bother me, because everybody's been talking about splites, like, oh, they're so broken, blah, blah, blah. There's a problem, because some of the splites are the fire attribute, and some of the splites are the dark attribute. So, yeah, with that being said, if they do bring out a bunch of darks, and then they try to go those fire pieces of shit, I'm just going to super poly them off, and then, yeah, they lose. They'll lose the game. Like, it's going to be that easy. Like, I've already looked into it, and splites are nothing that are unbreakable at this point. I'm going to put 5 and then draw 1, because I'm going to be going second this time instead of first. Okay, what we got? Nothing good yet. Just drew true the same fucking card. Okay, so we do have a way to make this work. So first of all, I'm gonna activate. Do I want that? Yeah, Frightful Patchwork. If you're noticing anything at this point, I think you would be the smart one for doing it. So you're going to add both polymerization and edge up. So Frightful Patchwork, you could use it at 3 or 2, but I don't use it at 3 or 2, strictly because it doesn't really do me a whole lot of good at 3 or 2. Same for Edge Imp Chain. So I'm going to add these. So that puts me with a pretty good hand here starting off. So what I can actually do is I can actually activate Albion the Shrouded Dragon, and I can go ahead and send Branded Sword to the graveyard so I can draw a card. The only reason I'm sending Sword now is just in case if I pull into something that I can actually use, I could just, you know, go ahead and use it rather than me trying to have to fight it. It just makes it better for me. And draw a card. Alright, so that was okay. It was not great, but it was okay. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate Branded Opening, and I'm going to send Edge Imp Chain. What that is going to do is we're going to special summon a Looper Chain 1. So Looper becomes Chain 1, and then Edge Imp Chain 2 to add Frightful Patchwork. So first I'm going to add Frightful Patchwork, and then I'm going to Patchwork. And what did I have in my hand? It all depends what's in my hand. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to add Brain Diffusion. So I add both of those simultaneously. Yeah, it's kind of neat. Like I said, you have to know what you're doing in order to get this to work. I know exactly what I'm doing. Like, I don't even have to like fidget at this anymore. Brain Diffusion. Never use the ones in hand. If you've got them in the deck, use those first. But you're going to send Albaz and Dramature, or Tragedy, Jesus Christ. Because you're going to get into your Lubellion. Like this. Doodaloo. Use the effect. Got a discard for cost. The card I'm going to discard is going to be... Card I'm going to discard. Yeah, it's an opening. Because I got 2 of them. Send that. And... Elbow's back. And then chain 2 would be Tragedy again. So activate Tragedy first. To add Drami. Where are you, Drami? There you are. Summon Mirror Jade. Alright. Again, we still have a handful of cards. Don't know if you've noticed this yet or not, but I do. So, from here, what you can do, very, very simple, is you're going to actually do this. Right here. Polymerization. Using the Jester. This is really situational right now. Drawing. And let's use Ad Libitum. Using 3 Despia monsters at the same time in order to get into Guardian Chimera. I actually was talking about this before we started. Pop 1, draw 2. I was actually talking about this before I started doing this today. I actually had never gotten into the situation where I've actually had the normal polymerization Guardian Chimera. But I do have a few effects going off in the graveyard at the same time. So, Dramature of Despia is going to special summon a Looper, which ain't going to do anything. And then Dramature is going to special summon himself and negate a face-up card on the field, which is fantastic. Then from here, what I can do is go ahead and activate the Despia Theater of the Branded. Go anyway with this. Go ahead and use the effect on Aluber and Albaz. And we'll get into the Masquerade, the Blazing Dragon. I think, no effects. Yeah, sweet. And basically just set 2 face downs. And that'll end the turn. Go ahead and use the Mirror Jade Banish before the end phase. So I can get, let's see, is that the one? One Brand Banishment. When you don't have enough cards in hand to actually do anything, you don't have any monsters, you just have like spells or traps in this deck, go for Banishment off of the Mirror Jade effect, because you'll be able to special summon one back. Make sure you have an area to special summon one back, or a fusion area. So when you do set your Branded Banishment, you do have a target. And if you Branded in red, if you don't have a monster in hand, do not try to use this for the other plays, because right now I've got it set up with the Despia right here. So again, next turn, opponent special summons a dark monster in particular. Go ahead and use Branded Banishment, targeting. Who do I want to target? Yeah, we'll just do it the easy way. Target Tragedy. There we go. Now we can banish monsters on our field. So I'm going to banish these 2. For another Masquerade, which makes it harder on my opponent to do anything. This depends on the situation. You can go into any card. I'm just going into put Masquerade up here, please, because it's going to be clusterfuck here in a minute. So the effect of Dramaturg was supposed to summon itself back from banishment, and the effect of Tragedy will add a Luber to my hand. So as you can see, the whole deck just comes back and forth, back and forth. There are times to where I will draw some interesting cards, to say the least. So, and with that, that pretty much ends the turn. Go ahead and draw for turn, and we draw into Super Poly. Set 1, normal summon a Looper, effective a Looper. Go ahead and grab Branded Red, because you're not going to be doing much of anything else at this point. Because that's basically it. That's all she wrote, because they're going to be dead after this anyway. Go ahead and use the effect of Branded Red to add one of your Despia monsters back to hand. For the sake of this, I'm just going to add back 11 of them. I don't really think it matters at this point. And I can choose someone from hand or field by banishing. So let's banish these. Thank you. Let's see. How much did I use for that? Why did I use 3? I'm confused why I used 3. Hang on. Keep you in hand. Using some of these off. Jesus Christ, I was like, don't have a 3 target. That confused the hell out of me. I was like, huh? Queridus. There we go. Effective Dramaturg. Special summon. And that's all she wrote. So yeah. And just to go ahead and show you, I did have more plays. I could have used Frightful Patchwork. I could have added the other. I could have added Polymerization, and I could have added the other Edge Imp. Like I did have more plays to kind of do, which would have led me to another one. So, and then the 3 face downs I actually have is Infinite Impermanence, Super Polymerization, and Infinite Impermanence. So there are ways in this deck to make this deck work, and you have to know how to play Branded in order to get it right. You have to know every single effect as soon as they activate. In order to beat your opponent, it is very, 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 very hard to beat. I'm not even gonna lie. As you see, you either draw 2 infinite permanents, 2 ghost spell, or 1 of each. That's normally how this works. The card that I didn't get into at all today, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you how that works, if I can get the draw right on it, is 2 there, 2 there. The 2 that I'm going to be talking about is the combo. It's a draw combo between what's his name? Tragedy. Jesus Christ, my brain is just like fried. You have to excuse me at this point. So basically, how this here works. Okay, I'm going upside down, pad. I need all my cards to be in the same theoretical order. Why are you sideways, Patchwork? So basically what happens here is, let me see if I can get it. If I can get a Lure of Darkness in my hand, I will show you how this works. If not, I'll have to bullshit a hand and then show you how it works. Neither game did I get a Lure of Darkness, nor did I get any of the banishing targets. I was like, well, this is kind of fucking stupid. So let me see if I can get it. Like I said, you don't need it to win, but if you have it, it's very, very nice to have. So, yeah. It's a lot of cards people use in these decks. And me, I just use what I've got. It doesn't really bother me. It doesn't really affect me. Okay, so I got 5. I'm going to be going second, more than likely. Draw. Yeah, I didn't get anything. That is actually a dog shit hand. Holy crap. What's next? No, Branded Fusion was right on the corner, but that was the worst hand I've ever had in this deck. Holy shit. Yeah, I'm going to bullshit a hand real quick. Hang on. Just to show you how the draw power works. Allure, Tragedy, Mercurier, and give me Patchwork. And then we'll say, do I want to go Branded Fusion with it? It doesn't really matter what it is specifically. I can go Branded Fusion, I guess. Yeah, just go Branded Fusion. So let's say that this is my hand. This is actually a really good hand to have. So this is just going to be a bullshit hand, and I'm going to show you how this works. So with this, we're going to add 4 additional cards by banishing 2. We're going to be in card advantage like a son of a bitch, and I'm going to show you how this works. First off, you activate the first Allure of Darkness. You're going to draw 2 cards. Effect, Send Tragedy. Alright, okay. So we have gotten that out of the way. Now Tragedy's effect is going to activate, and it's going to add a Lure. I'm going to try to play this out as far as I can. Basically showing you how exactly this works. Then you're going to activate the second Allure of Darkness. Draw 2 cards. Banish 1. You're going to then banish Child Brigade Mercurier. Mercurier's effect is going to activate, and it is going to add Spriggan's Kit. So it adds Kit. Great. Fantastic. I've seen some branded variations that don't use Kit, but I use Kit because it adds more branded spells and traps to my hand very quickly. So, now with that being said, we have a few cards in hand. And you can combo all further, activate Patchwork. I'm just going to show you the main deck, kind of drawing power you can get with this deck. So you're going to add that, and then you're going to add Poly. So if you do, this is like one of the best hands you could actually have, if I have to be real. It's very, very good for that. Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. Wow. Yeah. So this is basically what you can do if you do have that hand. So basically, I do have more plays to do, but I'm not gonna do them because this video is long enough anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you what exactly happens when you use two Allure of Darknesses, a Patchwork on Trapper Mercurial and Despia Tragedy going second. You'll end up with Polymerization, Edge Imp Chain, Spriggan's Kit, Infinite Impermanence, Dramature of Despia, Alibur, Super Poly 1, Super Poly 2, and Branded Fusion. You add that up, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards in hand, and still full combo. Because we haven't really done anything. Next 3 draws, if I'd have drew them, Branded, Dark Ruler, Branded Red. So, yep, that's all. That's Branded. Welcome to it. Branded is one of the most broken decks of all time. And I absolutely love this deck. Speaking of which, I did play Scarecrows last night. While I'm still here to talk a little bit before I get off, while I fix my decks and everything. Went 2-2. Misplayed in one game, and the other game it just wasn't my game. Got beat by Flan. But you know, it is what it is. You know, you can't. Hey, everybody takes ass whippings. I'll take my fair share, but that deck will be good. Just like this one. This one's kind of OP as shit. And I'll put this up, and then I'll end the video, and then I'll probably do another one right after this. Because I'm an idiot. That sounds about right. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, that is my Branded Despia deck profile that I have. So if you have any questions on any of the combos in the deck, how they work with other cards, again, I am a Konami judge. Just give me a shout, and I will be able to tell you everything you need to know about the deck. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. I'm Pierce Nation, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Pierce Nation out.